Hello and welcome to This Date in History, also known as TDH. This show is all about the events that occurred to date in years past, both recognized by actual historians, but mainly things that we personally find intriguing enough for us to bring to you. The sources of this information, of course, comes from the Smart Device application Today in History, What Happened Today in History, historical calendar, and the website onthisday.com. For links to those sources, the music, and anything else we gather throughout the show, check the description. Anyway, I am Mayo Xander.
I am me.
And today is Thursday, also known as Taco Thursday, Cinco de Mayo, 2022. Why don't you start us off here?
Yeah.
Alright, in the year 553, which was 1,469 years ago, the Second Council of Constantinople began.
Cool. Also, 1215 rebel barons renounced their allegiance to King John of England, part of a chain of events leading to the signing of the Magna Carta.
Ooh, dang. In 1260, Kublai Khan became ruler of the Mongol Empire. Ah. And then in 1494, on his second voyage to the New World, Christopher Columbus sighted Jamaica, landing at Discovery Bay, and declared Jamaica the property of the Spanish crown. And then in 1609, Daimyo, the Lord, Shimazu Tatsuduin of the Satsusa domain in southern Kyushu, Japan, completed his successful invasion of the Ryukyu Kingdom in Okinawa.
1640, King Charles I of England dissolved the short parliament.
14 years later, in 1654, Cromwell's Act of Grace, aimed at reconciliation with the Scots, was proclaimed in Edinburgh.
Oh, okay. Cinco de Mayo. Oh, wait. When was it?
1762?
1764. Cromwell Act of Grace, aimed at reconciliation with the Scots, proclaimed in Edinburgh.
1762, Russia and Prussia signed the Treaty of St. Petersburg. And then in 1789, in France, the Estates General convened for the first time since 1614. Wow. 1614, so hold on a second. 1789 minus 1614 equals, so 175 years. Interesting. Moving on up into the next century here, in 1809, Amerikis became the first woman awarded for a U.S. patent for a technique of weaving straw with silken thread. Cool.
1812, Emperor Napoleon died in exile on the island of St. Helena in the South Atlantic Ocean.
1835, the first railway in continental Europe opened between Brussels and Mechelin. Interesting.
Yes. Also, 1862, Cinco de Mayo, troops led by Ignacio Zaragoza halt a French invasion in the Battle of Puebla in Mexico.
Happy Cinco de Mayo. So 160 years of cervezas and such. 1864, just 2 years after that, during the American Civil War, the Battle of the Wilderness began in Spotsylvania County. And then 1 year after that, also during the Civil War, the Confederate government was declared dissolved at Washington, Georgia. I didn't know there was a Washington in Georgia, but yeah. So Cinco de Mayo is not only a Mexican holiday, but it's a states one as well. The end of our rebels. Then in 1866, the Memorial Day was first celebrated in the United States at Waterloo in New York. Oh, what an interesting thing, Waterloo. And today's also the date that Napoleon died in St. Helena. So, really interesting. And in 1877, during the American Indian Wars, Sitting Bull led his band of Lakota into Canada to avoid harassment by the United States Army under Colonel Nelson Miles. 9 years later, in 1886, workers marching for the 8-hour day in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, were shot at by Wisconsin National Guardsmen in what would become known as the Bay View Massacre. Boy, so how many people died? The Bay View Massacre. Let's look this up here. Let's see here. The Bay View Massacre was a result of a strike held on May 4th, 1886 by 7,000 building trades workers and 5,000 Polish laborers who had organized at St. Stanislaus Catholic Church in Milwaukee, Wisconsin to strike against their employers, demanding the enforcement of an 8-hour workday. Let's see here. It's not telling me. By Monday, May 3rd, the number of participants had increased to over 14,000. I'm not seeing any semblance of somebody getting shot at. Alright, well, I'm going to add this to the underbar here. So, when you there?
Yes.
Oh, there you are. Why don't you tell us what happened in 1891?
1891, the Music Hall in New York City, later known as Carnegie Hall, has its grand opening and first public performance with Tchaikovsky as the guest conductor.
Nice. In 1904, pitching against the Philadelphia Athletics at the Huntington Avenue grounds, Cy Young of the Boston Americans throws the first perfect game in the modern era of baseball. Ooh. Well, that's cool. 365 days later, in 1905, the trial in the Stratton Brothers case began in London, England. This marked the first time that fingerprint evidence was used to gain a conviction for murder. Dang, 117 years ago. Fingerprints have been around for a while. Well, at least, tracking them and such.
Authorities arrest Nicola Sacco and Bartholomew Van Zetti for alleged robbery and murder.
What year was that?
1920.
Ah. Well, 10 years after that, in 1930, the 1930 Bago earthquake, the former of two major earthquakes in southern Burma, killed as many as 7,000 in Yangon and Bago. It's a lot of deaths there. 6 years later, in 1936, Italian troops occupied Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. 4 years later, in 1940, during World War II, during the Norwegian campaign, Norwegian squads in Hegra Fortress and Vinjesvingen capitulated to German forces after all other Norwegian forces in southern Norway had laid down their arms. So, they were the last holdout. Then in 1945, during World War II as well, the Battle of Kassel Itters, the only battle in which American and German troops fought cooperatively, occurred. Yeah, I saw a video, well, I've seen videos about this before, but like some of the more extreme SS and Walkmershit, whatever, however you pronounce it, they refused to surrender, and they fought tooth and nail at a castle. Even getting down to using swords and shields and such. They were not going to surrender. Also in 1945 and also during the Second World War as well, the Prague Uprising began as an attempt by the Czech resistance to free the city from German occupation. A lot of stuff happened on this date in 45. Interesting. 1 year later, in 1946, the International Military Tribunal for the Far East began in Tokyo with 28 Japanese military and government officials accused of war crimes and crimes against humanity. Are you gonna take one?
Yes.
Are you in the middle of something? Am I interrupting anything?
No, I'm not. I'm not in the middle of nothing. 1955, the General Treaty by which France, Britain, and the United States recognize the sovereignty of the West Germany comes into effect.
Ah. 6 years later, in 1961, Alan Shepard became the first U.S. citizen to travel into outer space on a suborbital flight. Cool. Didn't beat Yuri, though. Yuri Gagarin, first man in space. So. Then in 1964, the Council of Europe declared May 5th as Europe Day. Okay, well, not only is it a Mexican and United States holiday, but it's a Europe Day too. So let's just make it Earth Day. Screw it. Like, Cinco de Mayo. Everybody, drink your nation's beer and have a good time. Eat some hot dogs and tacos and bratwurst and whatever it is that you want to do.
1964, the Council of Europe declares, 1972, Italia Flight 112 crashes into Mount Logan near Palermo, Sicily, killing all 115 aboard, making it the deadliest single aircraft disaster in Italy.
Dang. Poor Italy. 1 year later, 1973, Secretariat won the 1973 Kentucky Derby in 1 minute 59 and 2/5 of a second as yet unbeaten record. Dang. If I'm reading that right, 1 minute? Like, horse racing is usually a couple minutes, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Dang.
Also, 1980, Operation Nimrod, the British Special Air Service storms the Iranian embassy in London after a 6-day siege.
Oh. 365 days after that, in 1981, Bobby Sand died in the Longkish prison hospital after 66 days of hunger striking. He was aged 27 in 1985, which was 37 years ago. Ronald Reagan visited the military cemetery at Bitburg at the end of the Bergen-Belsen concentration camp, where he made a speech. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I guess
It's two different ones.
That was another article there. Oops, my bad.
1987, Iran-Contra affair start of Congressman televised hearings in the United States of America.
Ah. In 1991, a riot broke out in the Mount Pleasant section of Washington, D.C. after police shot a Salvadorian man. Then don't shoot Salvadorians. Huh? Uh, 1994, U.S. teenager Michael P. Fay was caned in Singapore for theft and vandalism. Dang, so they beat him with a bunch of canes. It's like... It's like nursing home, turf, hit you with a walker.
Nope, it's not. Nope, not that. They got got lashes.
Yeah. In 1994, the signing.
1994, the signing of Bishkek Protocol between Armenia and Azerbaijan effectively freezes the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict.
Good. Conflicts are never wanted, nor needed. Jumping on up into the next millennium, in 2006, the government of Sudan signed an accord with the Sudan Liberation Army.
In 2015, Kenya Airlines Flight 507 crashes after takeoff from the Lua International Airport in Douala, Cameroon, killing all 114 on board, making it the deadliest aircraft disaster in Cameroon.
Wow, so not only Italy, but Cameroon. So this dates marks the anniversary of not one but two nations' single worst aircraft disasters, on top of, all the other stuff that's been going on today. Why don't you take this last article?
In 2010, mass protests in Greece erupted in response to arbitrary measures imposed by the government as a result of the Greek government debt crisis.
Yep, those Greeks. I don't know why they can't handle money, but they're always dragging the EU down. So, that's unfortunate. Before we get into burst here, any articles grab your attention today?
Not really.
Not really. Like, what about the two aircraft things? The death of Napoleon? You know?
I'm just not in a caring feeling today.
Oh, okay. No worries. Alright, well, let's just hop right into burst then. If you want, you're welcome to go have an off day. I can take the show myself, no problem.
In 2010, 2010, 1210, Alfonso III of Portugal.
1542, we have Thomas Cecil, the first Earl of Exeter, was an English soldier and politician who was a Lord Lieutenant of Northamptonshire.
1800, Louis Christophe Francis Hedget, French publisher.
1818, we have Karl Marx, a German philosopher, sociologist, and journalist who essentially invented communism.
1830, John Patterson Stilson, American businessman who founded the John B. Stinson Company. No, Stetson. 1830, Ferdinand von Richthofen, German geographer and academic.
Now, I don't know why that name is so familiar.
Well, Richthofen because Call of Duty Black Ops. The zombies mode.
Okay. Well, I'm thinking more along the lines of maybe like Richter scale, or like that sounds very much like the Red Baron's last name, Richthofen, right?
Yes, Manfred Richthofen, I think.
Okay, so that's why it's familiar. Anyway, 1882, we have Sylvia Pankhurst, born on this date. She was an English women's suffrage movement leader and socialist activist. Doesn't sound like a good person.
Yes. Yeah, but it's not spelled the same.
What, socialist?
No. Richthofen.
Oh, Richthofen. Okay. Oh yeah, Red Baron has a V in it, right, instead of an F?
It's Richthofen.
Richthofen. Okay.
Not.
Well, anyway, 1883, Archibald Wavell, first Earl Wavell, was an English general and politician who was the 43rd Governor General of India.
Hey guys, I want you to...
Okay, of India.
Yep. Yeah,
1884, Chief Bender, American baseball player and coach.
And that sounds like somebody who drinks too much. Always goes on so many benders. He's the Chief Bender. 1898, we have blind Willie Mctell, an American predominant blues singer and guitar player. What does predominant mean? Is that supposed to be predominant? Let's see here. Predominant. Well, it's a city in California, apparently. It's also healthcare, so I don't know. Blues singer, predominant blues singer. Let's see if this brings up anything. Okay, well, it's a type of blues music, Piedmont blues. So, I'm just going to add that into the underbar here before I do. Unless you want to take the next couple.
Oh yeah, 1911. Oh, we got a phone call.
Okay. 1906, we have Charles Exbriet, a French author and screenwriter. And then 1907, we have Darnya Dmitrievna Polotnyuk, a Bukovinian or Ukrainian journalist and author. And in the year 1919, we have Georgios Papadopoulos, a Greek colonel and politician who is the 169th Prime Minister of Greece. Moving on up into 1922, Irene Guts Updike was born on this date. She was a Polish nurse and humanitarian. What an interesting name, Gut. You know. 1931, Greg, Belgian author and illustrator. Let me see if that's his full name. Greg, 1931. Greg. Michael Reginier, also known as Greg. It was one of these stupid little surname things. So, anyway, Michael Greg Reginier. 1932, we have Bob Said, U.S. race car driver and bobsled racer. Well, that's an interesting name. Bob Said the bobsled. 10 years later, in 1942, we have Istvan Bujitor, an Hungarian actor, director, producer, and screenwriter. And then 6 years after that, in 1948, Bella van der Spiegelhag was born. She was a Dutch cyclist.
In 1958, we have Robert Di Pierdomenico, Australian footballer and sportscaster.
What a last name, dude. Also in 1958, Jack Wishna, a U.S. businessman who co-founded Rock City Club.
Nice.
1966, Josh Weinstein, a U.S. screenwriter and producer. That name is familiar. Weinstein? Hold on a second. Josh.
You're thinking about Harvey Weinstein.
Ah, okay. See, Winstein. Okay.
Good.
E-I-N.
He's not spelled, or is he spelled the same name as that Weinstein asshole?
Ah. 1985, P.J. Tucker, a U.S. basketball player, and what's his actual name? Anthony Leon P.J. Tucker Jr.
Also in 1988, Adele, English singer-songwriter. Yeah.
Hello from the other side.
Yeah.
And 1989, we have Chris Brown, a U.S. singer, songwriter, dancer, and actor.
Okay.
Moving on to the dust.
And 465, Gerontius, Archbishop of Milan.
Yep. Doing a bit of a time jump here. Up into 1194, Casimir II the Just died on this date. Was the Polish son of Boleslaw III Wrymouth. That sounds like an extreme name right there.
1243, Hubert D. Burke, first Earl of Kent.
What was he?
He was Herbert D. Herbert D. Burke, first Earl of Kent, English Justiciary.
Ah. 1306, Constantine Palaiologos, a Byzantine general.
1380, Saint Philotheus, Coptic martyr.
1432, Francisco Busoni de Magnola, an Italian adventurer.
1821, Napoleon, French general and emperor.
1859, Peter Gustav Lejeune Dirichlet, German mathematician and academic.
1924, A. Sabapathy, Sri Lankan journalist and politician.
His actual name is Arunachalem Sabapathy. Interesting names. 1981, we have Bobby Sands, a PIRA, or People's Irish Republican Army, volunteer and hunger striker. Yeah, he died from starved to death. So, damn.
1985, Donald Bailey, English engineer who designed the Bailey Bridge.
The Bailey Bridge. Let's see what that looks like. images. I'm going to guess it looks like a bridge. Yep, it's very bridge-like. It's an interesting bridge, though. Appears to be a walk bridge, though. So, interesting. Anyway, 1988, we have Michael Shara, a U.S. author and academic, not to be confused with Michael Cera. So,
1999, Vasilios Diamantopoulos, Greek actor, director, and screenwriter.
2 years later, in 2001, Clifton Heilglass died on the States. Unfortunately, he was a U.S. publisher who created Cliff Notes, basically Wikipedia before we had Wikipedia. I guess that would be for like analog internet, if you're studying in schools and such. So. And then in 2002, we have Paul Wilbur Klipsich, U.S. engineer who founded Klipsich Audio Technologies.
Cool. 2007, Theodore Harold Mayman, the U.S. Canadian physics engineer who created the laser.
2008, Irv Robbins, a Canadian U.S. businessman who co-founded Baskin Robbins. That's a sad thing. I like that ice cream.
2012, Surendran, Indian cricketer.
I gotta look this guy's name up. That can't be his actual name. Surendranath. Oh yeah, Yogesh Surendranath. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second. It might not be the. Oh yeah, he died in 2012. Yep. Oh, I guess it's I don't know. I'm not finding anything. Oh well. Anyway, that concludes the show. Once again, check the underbar in the description for any links that you might find interesting, which also includes
Show Hidden TV on Twitch.
And everything Omni Coalition. For your dose of Passive and Daily, we stream every day between 12 noon and 3 p.m. Pacific.
2 to 5
Central. For all of you and all of us, I am Mayo Xander.
I'm me.
And you are you. And until you see us tomorrow, don't forget to look right and left at every intersection, rate 5 thumbs, and subscribe. Until then, toodles. Let's go, Brandon.